Avengers! Assemble. Welcome back to the channel. It's the Prevengeance here, guys, and welcome back to another Marvel Future Fight video. Today we have the War of the Realms patch notes. They dropped just last night, or this morning, really, for me at 4 a.m. So unfortunately, I for some reason was under the assumption that after the stream, 2 hours later, the patch notes would still drop at 11 p.m. They did not. They apparently pushed the patch notes out after live streams because they have a lot of catching up to do. So yeah, I wasn't staying up till 4 in the morning to make this video as soon as possible. I apologize. But we're still here with it at a decent time. It's been out for about 5 to 6 hours now. But let's dive straight on into it because we got a lot to talk about. Greetings, agents. It's CM Fragment of Marvel Future Fight. The warriors of Asgard are ready to defend across time against the supervillains who have invaded to conquer the 10 realms. The theme of the July update is the War of the Realms. So, of course, we are getting Odin Tier 4. Angela, brand new uniform for Odin as well. Brand new uniform for Enchantress and Tier 3, and Transcended for Malekith and Ulik, and along with a brand new uniform for Malekith. So let's get straight on into it with Odin. So he is going to cost 1,500 crystals because his uniform is going to be more expensive. His abilities are going to stay command, energy, protection, and he basically stays a superhero and everything else. His uniform effect will be increased chain hit damage by 20% and some super armor. On his ultimate skill, he's going to have decreased all resistance, shock, stun, freeze, silence, an 80% chance to penetrate, invincibility, and a bunch of lightning damage. So because he is acquiring Thor's hammer, he's going to have a lot of lightning damage. So that means he's going to be sort of upgraded version of Thor. Here's what he's looking like, but nothing too much more special than that, and I'll get into why right after we go through everything else. His leadership is increased lightning damage by 50% and remove all debuffs. On his first skill, he has some bleed, lightning damage, and decreased recovery rate. On his second skill, he's got shock, paralysis, barrier, lightning damage. Third skill here has fracture, which is cool, invincibility, accumulation, which is good for PvE, of course, silence, and then a lot more lightning damage. Like I said, he's got lightning damage on all his skills now. He's got some shock, stun, ignore target, dodge rate. He's got some all damage immunity as well. Some increased basic damage procs here, and then lightning damage again. The cooldown on the first skill is going to be 8 seconds. Same with the second skill. Third skill is going to be 16-second cooldown. Fourth skill is going to be 14 seconds. And then the fifth skill here, he has shock, stun, incapacitation. He has a 25% heal for 1 second. He has invincibility again, and then a crit rate and all speed, which is only plus 1%. So I don't know why they're still throwing that in there. And then lightning damage, of course, as well. His cooldown for the fifth skill will be 16 seconds. So if you don't know too much of the details, basically what I'll sum up here for you with Odin, reading through all that, he is purely PvE focused completely. He has no PvP value at all. He doesn't even have iframe ignore. Holy cow, I can't say it. Iframe ignore at all. So even if you were hoping he was going to be good in AC, he's not. He's purely PvE focused. I'm assuming World Boss Legend, GBR, and Dispatch is what we're going to be seeing him a lot in. I'm assuming he's going to be best with the Rage, but he might be pretty decent with a Judgment as well because of all the elemental damage. But as we've seen in the past, Rage definitely overtakes all that. So we'll have to see. We'll also have to see if he can cap an ABX. I'm not sure. Like I said, on paper, we can't really tell. That's something we'll really have to actually test. But I'll be honest with you guys, all four of these characters are purely PvE. So if you're looking for any PvP characters this update, unfortunately, I'm here to tell you that that's not going to happen. We got purely PvE characters in this update. They're all either support or DPSs. Odin is a DPS here. Like I said, he just looks like an upgraded version of Thor. Nothing else too special. And because he's a native tier 2, I'm just not sure if upgrading him to tier 4 is really the best idea for me. I was really considering it, but seeing how he's literally just pure PvE and only a slightly upgraded version of Thor, not sure if it's worth it. I might still do it. I'm not sure. Like I said, it's a tough decision because, I mean, native tier 2s, getting them in tier 4 is a lot more expensive. And I have other native tier 2s like Wolverine who could really use the tier 4 upgrade as well. Then we get into Enchantress. I'm going to be honest with you guys, both female characters in this update are looking really nice. They have some good supports and some good upgrades with these uniforms. The two males are a little questionable right now. We'll have to kind of wait and see until they actually drop the update, which, by the way, that drops tonight. The maintenance will be happening, so make sure to get all your dailies done before then, and make sure to save one World Boss Legend for Odin's potential. Anyways, she has a leadership here of all debuff effects by 40%, which is pretty nice. She has increased all basic attack and basic damage dealt to boss types with her uniform effect. Her passive, which is one of the main things, her leader and passive is what makes her such a good support, is increased mind resist by 20% and increased mind damage by 30%. So if you get a super villain, and of course the uniform effect is huge as well with the increased all basic attack. If you get super villains who deal mind damage, she's basically the best support for them now, which is awesome because of that passive and uniform effect. On her first skill here, she has mind damage and snare. She has a cooldown time of 7 seconds on that. She has charm and a recovery equal up to 50% of damage, up to 20% max HP, which is pretty interesting. We don't see that a lot. It's just recovery over time. We haven't seen that in a minute. So that's pretty cool. On her second skill, she has invisibility and mind damage even more with a 10-second cooldown. On her third skill, she has accumulation and all basic attack here. Again, a lot more mind damage and decrease all basic defense with a cooldown time of 15 seconds. Apologies if you hear my dogs in the background. On her fourth skill here, she has some more mind control, more mind damage, 100% chance to grant all damage immunity, which is nice, paralysis, and then increase all basic attack, that proc basically there. Then on her fifth skill, she has a cooldown of 15 seconds, minus 3% decrease of mind resist. This is where her heal is at. She's got 20% heal other than the actual recovery rate heal up here as well. She actually does have a heal also on that fifth skill, along with some more mind damage, and that's going to be a 15-second cooldown. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Enchantress. She's looking like a great support because of her uniform effect, her leadership, and of course her passive. The leadership is probably the weakest here, but the passive and uniform effect are huge for supervillains, especially those that do mind damage. Then we get into Malekith, and honestly, he's a little disappointing on paper. I hope he's better in game. He looks great, but as far as on paper, it's kind of basic. His uniform effect is recovers 15% of HP, which is kind of low. 30% increase of energy defense on his leadership and removes all debuffs. His passive is a 20% increase of HP, some chain hit damage, and more recovers of HP. You'd think that'd scream a little bit of PvP, but because he has literally nothing else other than those good heals, he's not going to be PvP at all. He's definitely going to be PvE focused. The problem is he is a blast supervillain, and so that basically makes him, and a male, which basically pairs him up against Magneto. Magneto's a tier 4, so he's not going to beat out Magneto, and he's also not a support for Magneto in any way. So he's not fitting in ABX. If he's not PvP at all, then that means he has to be good in either Dispatch, GBR, or World Boss Legend. He's not going to surpass GBR characters at tier 4. Dispatch, he's not going to surpass Thor and now Odin. That wouldn't make any sense. So his only hope is World Boss Legend. So I hope he's decent for World Boss Legend. But then again, level 80s and tier 4s are going to outshine him. So unfortunately, it's not looking good for our boy Malekith. On his second skill, he has stun, paralysis, energy damage, cooldown of 9 seconds there. Third skill, he has fear, oh my god, I can't speak today. Incapitation, super armor, barrier, and increase all basic attack, and some guaranteed crit rate with a cooldown of 14 seconds. On his fourth skill, he has a long cooldown of 22 seconds. He has stun, fear, paralysis. He has a 30% heal. He has invincible and some increase all basic attack again, and then of course finishing it off with some energy damage and an energy attack. On his fifth skill, it's going to be a 14-second cooldown. He's got fear, paralysis, 100% chance to all damage immunity, accumulation, which is nice, and an increase all basic attack as well. So yeah, not looking great from Malekith. Honestly, it's going to be hard for him to fit in the meta. Enchantress, it looks like she'll fit right in as a support for supervillains, especially those that do mind damage. And then again, Odin, because of that level 80 in tier 4, I think he'll be somewhere. I just don't know where exactly yet, and I don't know how many people are going to build him because a lot of people have already built Thor, and Odin's just kind of like a slightly better, more expensive version. But like I said, this is all pending how it actually is in game. This is just all on paper. Then Angela, which I'm most excited about here for this update, gets her applies to all superhero allies, increases basic damage dealt to supervillains. That's huge by 40%. That's a great uniform effect. Very similar to Enchantress here, except for superheroes instead of supervillains. Her tier 2 passive, she gives herself some guaranteed dodge rate and crit rate, which is cool. On her first skill here, she has stun, physical damage, and a cooldown of 7 seconds. On her second skill, she's got bleed, paralysis, physical damage, and a cooldown of 8 seconds. On her third skill, she's got bleed, decreased recovery rate, which is interesting, invincible, and some more guaranteed crit rate and incapacitation. And that's on a 12-second cooldown. On her fourth skill, she's got a 14-second cooldown with silence, some accumulation, and some more of that all-basic attack. On her fifth skill, she's got a 17-second cooldown. She has stun, silence. She has her 30% heal, which is better than Enchantress, I believe, or it was Malekith. I'm not sure which one had the 25% heal, but hers is better, whatever. Increase all basic attack, basic damage, sorry, and physical damage. I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been Malekith here who had only the 20. No, he has a 30 as well, so it must have been Enchantress, yeah, who has the 20% there. So yeah, she has a 30% heal, which is not bad. All right, so with Angela here, how would she fit in the meta? She's a universal superhero female, so that means she's going to be paired up with Scarlet Witch for the 2 ABX days. For universal superhero and universal superhero female, I believe, are the 2 days. And I think, I might be tripping, but it's something like that. I don't have the days memorized, I'm not going to lie to you guys. But I do know she's going to fit in with Scarlet Witch and ABX. She's either going to, A, try and replace Scarlet Witch. It depends on how much damage she can output. Like I said, on paper, it's hard to tell. So we'll have to wait and see. But regardless, she's going to be meta because she's going to be a great support for Scarlet Witch. She also has so many of the abilities like Snare and Stun. So she might also be able to be a switchable character with Scarlet Witch to go ahead and get rid of the Frost Beast sort of our super armor that he puts on. So that's going to be pretty interesting. She's going to fit in very well in ABX and ABL. I also need her for Kang Stage 19 challenge, so transcending her regardless is a great idea, not only for ABX but also for Kang, and I feel like they on purpose made her the Stage 19 challenge, knowing that they were going to be dropping her soon. I think that was very smart on their part. Regardless if they did it on purpose or not, pretty smart. Anyways, we got more to talk about, so let's move on quickly. We're already taking a little too long. I talk way too much during these videos. Odin's tier 4 looks interesting. It looks a lot like Moon Knight's, except without having to stay in the moon circle, I'm assuming. He has immunity to all debuffs, which he already has on his passive, so that kind of feels unnecessary. He has an increase all basic attack by 100%. Moon Knight's is 120%, so I don't know why we're getting less numbers. Like, I feel like the numbers should be going higher as we get more tier 4s. Moon Knight was almost a year, not even almost, it was a year ago. So yeah, I don't know what that's about. He has recover. He recovers 10% of his HP for 10 seconds, so just like Moon Knight. And then he has the additional energy damage, 120% of energy attack that Moon Knight does not. But otherwise, it's pretty much word for word Moon Knight's tier 4 with the inclusion of energy damage. Like I said, the immunity to all debuffs isn't going to do anything, especially because he's not going to be PvP meta. So there's no point to that. Enchantress gets a tier 3 with mind control, snare, invincibility again, and then increase all basic damage and mind damage, and that's what it looks like if you haven't already seen it. It's pretty cool. We'll go over it in game as well. Malekith, like I said, is getting a transcended with Ulick. It's pretty standard. Transcended here, invincibility, removes all debuffs, crit rate, stun, increase all basic damage, all that great stuff, and that's what it's going to look like there if you haven't already seen that as well. No uniform for Ulick, though. Hopefully, maybe one day. We'll see. We got 4 new artifacts here, of course. We got Odin, Enchantress, Malekith, and Ulick. I believe who we missed. Angela already has her artifact, so yeah, no need to give her a new one, obviously. Odin has an increase all basic damage dealt to supervillains. It's a pretty nice artifact. It's not the best, but it's decent. We'll see if hopefully that bumps up his damage even more. Enchantress has an increased mind damage. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, like I said, she's mostly support, so the artifact isn't really helping her support-wise, so that kind of stinks. Malekith has a heal artifact. No, sorry, not a heal artifact. I'm thinking of Ulick. He has an increased basic damage dealt to enemies with 50% or 20% below. That's not the best. That's not the most flashy. Ulick actually has probably the most interesting one. He has Gilgamesh and Beast artifact. I believe it's those two characters that have a recover HP by 80%, an additional 0.3% total instinct, and increase max HP by 75%. It would be interesting if they gave that to maybe one of the other characters, because unfortunately it's not going to do much on Ulick when he hasn't got a rework. We have the future past here, and basically the main thing you want to look at is that we got 4 icons. They look great. We got Angela, Enchantress, Odin, and we got a hint at Doctor Strange. Yes, you guys, a lot of you guys were questioning me on my tier 4, who should I tier 4 next video, when I talked about tier 4 Doctor Strange. Because if you didn't know, there was some data mines for character model changing for Doctor Strange, and we're getting our first sort of teaser at it, so we could be seeing tier 4 Doctor Strange very soon, because as you can see, we have the sort of Sanctums symbol here as one of the icons for this update. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. We are actually getting a uniform collection for the War of the Realms with Odin, Angela, Malekith, and Enchantress, meaning there will be no sort of mid-month to this, no sort of mid-month or second part to this update that deals with the War of the Realms. So that's that, I guess. There was a lot of theories that we could get Daredevil, Thor upgrade, a bunch of these other ones from the War of the Realms comic series. Those are being put to bed now because we have the Uniform Collection event telling us there's no more uniforms for this update. The mid-month and the next update we get will be completely separate. Then we have some sort of quality of life changes. This is probably one of my favorite ones here is they gave us a filter feature. I went over it in my live stream reaction, but basically what I can tell you is when you put a leadership and a support character, you can now filter it to give you the characters that will actually benefit from the supports and the leaderships. So it's pretty awesome, especially for newer players. It helps them learn how it works, and it just makes it easier for us to be able to find the characters and see what we have available to us in World Boss Legend. I think it's GBR and Shadowland. Yep, right there. Next up, we have Story, Normal, and Difficult. Difficult. Story, Normal, and Ultimate will now be on the status board, as if this status board wasn't already like junked up enough. But you can filter it out. If you didn't know, there's a little button at the bottom left. They're not showing, or right here actually on the top right, where you can actually select which game modes you want to see if you've completed or not. I think it's pretty cool, but I feel like they should have added this like a long time ago when Story first came out. But it's still pretty cool, I guess. This has been a heavy topic, and I'm sure some of you guys have already heard about it. We got new support benefits for new agents. So basically, to sum it up for you guys, for the first 2 weeks of creating a new account, you will now be able to unequip iOS, custom gear, and comic cards for free. So that's pretty cool. You'll be given some chests, boost points, energy, increase gold and XP acquisition, and you'll be able to unlock or reset World Boss cost 50% on a 50% discount. So the biggest thing is the for free of unequipping iOS, custom gear, and comic cards. So if you make a mistake, you can instantly fix it, but it's only within the first 2 weeks of being a new agent. A lot of players were complaining that they'd love to actually see us be able to have this event, maybe even for the anniversary or something. And I think it's cool to see that they can actually do this, that they're willing to do this to make it so that CTPs and whatnot can be unequipped for free. I don't know if we'll ever get it, but I think there's a chance now that we see that they're actually doing it for newer players. I think maybe one day we'll get some sort of event long down in the future. Maybe they're feeling generous, and they'll have this event for all other players as well. Timeline Survival is now a sort of temporary game mode. It's kind of like World Boss Event, where it'll come and go. It's no longer a permanent game mode. They said they buffed the rewards. We'll have to wait and see. They're going to actually announce more through a separate notice. So we'll have to wait for that, I guess, and make a video on that to be able to really figure out what's going on, because I'm not 100% sure. But I did talk a lot more about it in my live stream reaction because we got a little bit more information over there. Some other small little changes, nothing too huge. The only other thing was the size and location of the Tier 4 skill Striker Hero UI have been changed so that agents can view the custom gear's activation effect. So basically, if you know the little symbols in the top left, like when you proc, that symbol that goes off and shows you that you're proccing, they are basically making the Tier 4 one a little bit more seeable, because right now it's like very hidden. You can't really see it at all. The only big game error fix that I had saw, if I can find it, had to deal with concentration. Yeah, the bonus effects of the concentration ability not being applied when charging the gauge for reforging CTPs have been fixed. So apparently there was a lot of the bonus effects for concentration not working on the reforging of CTPs. So those of you that have concentration, it's fixed now, 3 years later. Yay! Not sure who's really running too much concentration anymore, but for those of you that are, there's that, I guess, if you're still into that. And that's pretty much it for the patch notes. Yep, I know I talked a lot more than I meant to. I'm sorry. I always dive deep into these patch notes. The update will be dropping live tonight. The actual maintenance starts really early. It's down for like 6 to 8 hours for the maintenance, so make sure to get all your dailies done as quickly as possible. I think we go down under maintenance at 7 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Eastern, around there. So meaning it's going to be 5 or 6 Pacific time, so make sure to get all your dailies done as fast as possible, like I said, because then you won't be able to log in until the next morning before the reset. But the update will be dropping live really late at night here. I think it's around like midnight, 1 in the morning. So I'll have a video on it the next day. But we probably will have one more video out after this patch notes video before the update drops live. But yeah, that'll do it for me today, guys. Sorry if I talked a little too much. Like I said, I get into it way too much with these patch notes. But I hope you guys enjoyed this full breakdown and overview of the patch notes for the War of the Realms update. Can't wait to showcase it to you guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. And if you did, as always, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, guys. I'd really, really appreciate it. And we'll see you all in the next one. Take care.